Checkmate 007 coming back at you, right? Social Security running out. Part 2, the retirement crisis. $50 cash out giveaway. Stay tuned.
Malcolm Garvey, Huey.
It's Gates the
Malcolm
Grill,
Garvey,
Gates
Huey.
back, Grill,
Their life
back.
is like a movie.
Free
I live, I die, I organize. Everything I do's revolutionize. I build what's good for the whole damn hood. Study G's like these, really think you should.
Look, man, you already heard. Social Security's running out. What they're not telling you is when. They're going to run out around about 2034, giving you about 12, 13 years to play with, right? But as reports say, and I'll put all the links in there so you can follow it at your will, at your leisure, that Social Security is going to start running out, but it is the surplus that they pay out from Social Security. So Social Security is not necessarily going to run out as much as the benefits are going to start to go down. You're going to see numbers around 78% and 80%, which really doesn't help. If the average rent now was $1,400 plus, what can we do with Social Security benefits going down? Inflation is still a real thing. Taxes are trying to go up. What can we do with Social Security going down? And money losing half its value every 30 years. If you caught part 1, you would know this. See, the problem is we're not understanding why Social Security is failing. And if you know me, I talked about this years ago. First things first, Reganomics. Back in 1983, President Ronald Reagan thought it was genius to drop the taxes on the rich. It led to a short-term boom, but here we are now. Now, I mentioned that to say this. The trickle effect became a thing, and it has never worked. The rich spending their money have never made it to the poor. Reganomics was one of the biggest mistakes in financial history. That's why our wealth gap is so bad. $1,400 for rent, you need to make somewhere between like $35 and $37 to actually be able to afford it comfortably. That's pathetic. Because minimum wage is about what, $7? You understand why it's a crisis. Okay, I'm glad we moved on forward. Now, let's start talking about some more recent events. The war just ended over there in Afghanistan. Has no real effect on Social Security now, like it did back in 2001, because it's a 20-year war. Bush supposedly borrowed money from Social Security. People say it's 1.37 trillion. 1.37 trillion. The fact checkers say it's about 708 billion borrowed from Social Security. Now, if you talk to some people, they say he used it for the bailout of the economic housing collapse. But I'm asking them the question: if he borrowed it back in 2001 or whenever the war happened, when was he going to use it to bail us out is beyond me. And if we did use the money for bailout of the banks, when are the banks going to pay it back? Why hasn't Social Security been restored? The Biden administration is supposed to be working on it, and he got a tax plan. I'm going to cover in another video. I'm going to go through the tax plan in detail and how it's going to affect the upper class. I'm not too happy about it. It looks good on paper, unless you plan on trying to make it to the higher tiers of society. It is obvious the millennial generation is being punished. Another thing, we really need to get it right? With this happening, most of the politicians in office have been there since Reagan. There is no excuse on why Social Security has failed under their leadership. There is no reason tax hikes are happening now. These people have made fortunes through that time period. Why did you not figure it out then? Why did you not increase taxes then? Why do you think it's okay to increase taxes now that the millennials getting ready to take over? The late millennials and Gen X are starting to take over. Why now? The baby boomers failed. Their biased judgment and race-inspired bias created Reganomics. And this is what we have here today. Social Security failing on their watch. Why? Because people are living longer and our economy can't support it. And let me tell you another reason why it's failing. because we do not have enough people in the workforce. And our population growth is slowing. We had about a 4% decrease now. And with that being said, the number one reason why Social Security is failing is very simple. I said it in my last video. Part 1. If you cannot tax a livable wage, you cannot support a livable wage. So the wealth gap has now came back to bite them in the backside for Social Security. Since we are the millennial generation with I think like 1/4 the wealth of the baby boomers at the same age, it's now come back on them. Since we don't have any money, you can't tax us for any money. So therefore Social Security is underfunded. This is the problem. I'm in it there. But I'm also going to talk about how I'm getting ready to do a mini series on welfare. Welfare has also played a lot into this, into the nuclear family being destroyed. So therefore, there's been underperforming generation after generation, which has also affected taxes. I don't understand why they thought it was a good idea to use welfare to break the nuclear family. I have more details on that, but it keeps creating slave labor. I'm going to do, I think, a 5-part mini-series with a colleague of mine to really break down how damaging welfare really is to the actual economy, any actual society that we live in, and how many problems it caused, the beginning, the history, the whys. Everybody keep complaining about welfare, but don't understand the whys of why it came to be. So I'm going to have that covered. But man, before my $50 Cash App giveaway for my 100th subscriber, I'm going to do it based off the best comment left on like my last 10, 15 videos. I really want to see what y'all think and come up with. Please don't make the best comment and not leave the Cash App. Because I'm still going to read it. I'm just not going to see the money. But man, Checkmate 007 out, man. Like and subscribe. Check me out on Instagram. I'm going to be on TikTok in a second. But yeah, man. I'm out.
I die, I organize. Everything I do's revolutionize. I build what's good for the whole damn hood. Study G.